I've been an air fryer hater for years. Whenever something blows up seemingly out of nowhere, I just get a bit suspicious of it, like Labubu's or the music of Tate McRae. As far as I was concerned, air fryers were just another thing to add to this list. But as time has gone by, air fryers haven't gone anywhere. In fact, if anything, they're just growing even more in popularity. I'm even seeing more and more chefs and content creators I respect incorporating them into recipes. I think it might be time for me to admit that air fryers aren't just a flash in the pan and to try one for myself to see what all the fuss is about. To help me finally decide if the air fryer life is for me, the lovely people at Typhur have sent me this. This is the Typhur Dome 2 air fryer. For my first time using an air fryer, I couldn't really have asked for a better place to start. It's kind of like taking your driving test in a Lamborghini. Here's a quick rundown of what the Typhur Dome 2 can apparently do. 15-in-1 multifunctional cooking. It has specific presets for things like pizza, wings, steak, fries, and more, as well as general air frying, cooking from frozen, dehydrating, toasting, and many more. The Dome 2 has a self-cleaning mode, which can burn grease and grime off of itself at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. It has Wi-Fi connectivity, and you can control it via an app on your phone. It has top and bottom heating elements for even cooking with less flipping and shaking. And apparently it's much quieter than most other air fryers thanks to its signature brushless motor. That's what Typhur claims it can do, but I'm going to be the one to judge if it really stacks up. I want to really put this thing through its paces, so I've picked 3 different foods typically cooked in 3 different ways. One normally deep fried, one normally oven baked, and one typically fried in a pan, to see if air fryers are truly as versatile and effective as people claim they are. Let's get cooking. Now the first task I have for the Typhur Dome 2 is the humble chicken wing. In my opinion, chicken wings are typically best when deep fried, so I want to see how close an air fryer can come to that. I have tried to make chicken wings in the oven at home before, and they've just never been quite as good as the ones you get at a restaurant or at a bar. I'm also just not really a huge fan of deep frying at home, given the slight fire hazard and the amount of oil that you have to dispose of afterwards. So air fryer, you're up, let's see what you can do. I'm gonna use an air fryer wings recipe from Andy Cooks. Some seasonings in the bowl, on that grind, you know how it is. Got our seasoning, time to add some wings. You can always break your wings down into the drums and flats, but I'm just going whole, deal with it. The only thing that I don't have that Andy did request was baking powder, so if these don't come out looking as good as his, I'll blame that, and also the fact that he's just a better cook than I am. Okay, we've got some nicely seasoned wings. I'm also gonna put a little oil on them here. I think Andy sprayed some on as he put them in, but I don't have a spray thing, so I'm just gonna toss them in some oil. Just grab my basket real quick. Look at the size of that thing, huge. Then I'm just gonna lay these skin side down straight into the basket. Oven ready, baby. Okay, so my wings are in. I can simply select the wings setting and go. This is exciting. It's the first time I've literally cooked anything in an air fryer before, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. I didn't preheat the air fryer this time around. I kind of wanted to see what it could do just purely off of the factory settings. The wing setting seems to be 200 degrees Celsius for 14 minutes. In my normal oven, I'm pretty sure that would not be enough time, especially without preheating. So if it can actually properly cook these wings in that time and get them nice and crispy, then I will be impressed. Pleasantly surprised by how quiet this thing is as well. I thought it was going to be like roaring away in the corner, but it's actually just a nice soft hum. I'm going to make a quick buffalo sauce to go with the wings, and I also wanted to dig into air fryer history. So modern air fryers were invented by a Dutchman called Fred van der Weij back in around 2006. He then actually sold the patent to Philips, who took them to market around 2010. Initially, they were actually kind of slow to take off, but that all changed around 2016. In 2016, Oprah Winfrey included an air fryer in her favorite things list, and it proved to be the perfect launchpad. Soon they were popping up absolutely everywhere. By 2023, an estimated 60% of US households had an air fryer. A 2026 study showed that the UK has now matched those numbers. I really am just a dinosaur, it took me so long to get on board. Butter, Frank's Red Hot, splash of vinegar, perfect buffalo sauce. Let me just take you over here, because can you hear the crispy action that's going on in here? That's encouraging. I love that when it gets into the last minute of cooking, it gives you a 60-second countdown. It really builds suspense. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Okay, no time to waste. I don't want these to go cold. Here are the wings. I mean, these look great. They've crisped up a lot. I was worried that that 14 minutes wasn't going to be enough for them to get super crispy on the outside, but it seems like they have. Let's hit them with the sauce. And there we have it. We have air fried wings ready in less than 20 minutes. I mean, these look great. Like I say, they were only in there for 14 minutes, which I thought was maybe on the lower end, especially compared to an oven. But you can really see like the skin, particularly around the end bits, has gone really crispy. You get those little kind of charred patches on there as well. Obviously, when you deep fry a wing, you get really crispy skin on the outside, but the meat is still juicy on the inside because of how quickly it's cooked. So if we're able to replicate that with an air fryer, then we might be onto a winner. As you can see, meat is indeed cooked all the way through. Cheers. Delicious buffalo sauce aside, it's a really well cooked wing. I'm getting a little bit of crisp on the outside, maybe not as much as you would get in a deep fryer, but hey, less oil. But the meat on the inside is so tender and juicy. That is like exactly what I want from a buffalo wing. Obviously with this one, I didn't preheat the air fryer and I just went with their standard settings, which were 200 for 14 minutes. I think I actually could have let them go for another couple of minutes. I don't think that would have compromised the juiciness and you would have got even more crisp on the outside. But overall, super tasty and definitely way faster than that would have been in an oven. Speaking of my oven, it's time for test number 2. For this one, we're switching foods and heading to Italy. Here I have an oven pizza. Now the clue is in the name. These are very much designed to be heated up in an oven. But the Typhur Dome 2 claims it can handle that no problem. Let's see if that's true. Just gonna quickly wipe out the tray. I hand washed this one for convenience, but apparently this is dishwasher safe. Now one cool thing about the Dome 2 in particular is that the tray is super wide. Based on most of the air fryers that I've seen, you'd struggle to fit like a whole pizza in them. I guess you could maybe do it like slice by slice, but with the Typhur you can just do the whole thing. When cooking a pizza, the instruction manual says 2 things. Firstly, you should preheat, and secondly, not to use the grill plate, just to put them straight in the basket. So let's do that. If I tap on the pizza preset button, it says it's gonna cook at 170 for 14 minutes. Let's add a couple of minutes to preheat, so now I'm gonna go for the pizza. In we go. While the pizza's cooking, I wanted to try and explain what air fryers actually do. For those who don't know, the name air fryer is actually a bit of an oxymoron. Conventional frying requires the use of oil to transfer heat to your food. Obviously with air fryers, there's either no or a small amount of oil involved, so you're not really frying anything in the traditional sense. Air fryers are effectively just countertop ovens, but with a few key differences to regular ones. Traditional home ovens use filaments, which get super hot. These heat up the air inside the oven, and the air then transfers the heat to your food, which cooks it. Fan ovens speed up this process by circulating the hot air. So what does an air fryer do differently? Obviously they're smaller than the average home oven. That means less air to heat up around your food, making them faster to preheat and better at keeping the heat evenly distributed. They also tend to have much more powerful fans than home ovens. This means the hot air gets circulated rapidly and blasts every part of your food, making it crispy almost as if you've been frying it. There are some drawbacks to air fryers. Obviously the smaller size makes it harder to cook large meals or things like a roast dinner. They're also not quite as well suited to a set and forget cooking style. Things like casseroles or stews where you want to heat them gently over time. But they're much better at circulating hot air compared to a normal oven, lending itself to fast and crispy cooking. It's only been about halfway through the cook time, but I can kind of already smell the pizza getting done, so I'm actually going to check on it now. Trust your noses, people, because that is, for my liking, pretty much done. See if I've mastered the dismount, yep. It's pretty good. Okay, so this was the pizza after only, I think, 7 minutes of cook time, of a supposed 14. Now for me, this is pretty much the perfect level of doneness that I would like from an oven pizza. And yeah, I mean, including the preheat, which I think was 8 minutes, that was a 15-minute in total job. I think the 8-minute preheat time that the recommended setting had, I think is maybe too excessive. I think you could either just skip the preheat and leave it in for a couple of extra minutes, or just do a much shorter preheat and it would still kind of get the job done. There's a couple of differences that I've noticed about doing the pizza in the air fryer versus my normal oven. Firstly, you get these really lovely crispy bits around the edges of the pepperoni. Also, I do think giving it the preheat and then cooking it straight in the basket has helped to give the underside a bit more of a char than you might normally get from an oven. With a little trial and error, I found that this actually is a pretty good way to cook a pizza at home. I guess the results also might vary depending on how thick the pizza is, whether you're cooking it from frozen or not. But one thing I'm learning about the air fryer is that you shouldn't be afraid of just checking if things are done. Will it be completely replacing my oven? No, probably not, because of the size restrictions and things like that. But I do think if you're cooking something like this that just needs heating through, it's a really efficient and easy way to do it. So the air fryer's done a pretty good job of replicating a deep fryer, a pretty good job of replicating an oven, but now I think it's time for the hardest task of all. Now with the Dome 2, Typhur make a very bold claim. What they're claiming is that the air fryer is actually a pretty good way to cook a steak. Now look, I do have some concerns about this one. As I said before, the air fryer is effectively just like a powerful small oven that's good at heating things all over. Pretty much every steak that I've had in the past has been grilled in a pan. Obviously when you pan sear a steak, you're getting intense heat on just one side at a time. With a bit of careful flipping, what you can end up with is a beautiful crust on either side and the perfect level of doneness in the middle. Barring maybe like a reverse sear method, I would personally never cook a steak in an oven. Without the oil to transfer the heat, it's much harder to get the crust on the outside. And without some kind of meat thermometer setup, I think it would be quite hard to get a medium rare on a steak in an oven. That said, Typhur have made the claim. I'm gonna put it to the test. I'm gonna go against all my natural chef instincts and air fry a steak. So I'm treating this like I would any other steak. I've given it a little pat down. I'm gonna give it a little coating of oil, just a little splash, and I'm gonna season it. Similarly to the pizzas, I recommend you cook it directly in the basket and with a preheat. I've selected the steak setting, which apparently is 230 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. The preheat has started. Again, I have my reservations about this one. I'm gonna try and apply the lessons that I've learned from the previous 2 tests. Firstly, I'm gonna make sure I check on this thing about halfway and give it a flip. And secondly, I'm not gonna rely just on the timer. I think when I think it's done, I'm gonna pull it out. It's slightly concerning that the only mention of steak in the manual is just steak. There's no guides in here whatsoever for your preferred cut of steak, the thickness of your steak, the weight of it, or your preferred doneness. So yeah, I'm kind of leaving this one up to the gods. I'm aiming for a medium rare, that's how I like my steaks, but I will be, I guess, a bit surprised and impressed if we actually get that. All right, preheat done, moment of truth. This feels so wrong on so many levels. I mean, you can hear it sizzling, that's a promising sign. One pretty cool thing that the Typhur Dome 2 does is connect to an app. Now through this app you can do things like check how long is left on your cook. You can actually pause or stop cooking just from your phone. There's also like a bunch of recipe options in this app as well in case you're feeling a little bit uninspired for dinner. It's pretty cool. As far as air fryers go, this one definitely seems pretty high tech. I think the full 10-minute preset time at 230 is going to be way too long, so I'm going to keep quite a close eye on this one. So it's only had about 2 minutes, but I'm actually going to give it a flip because I can hear it and I can smell it and it sounds pretty good. That one side did have quite a lot of colour on it, which is fairly promising. One other concern is that when I'm cooking steak in a pan, I'd usually put some kind of weight on it to help get quite an even crust, whereas obviously inside the air fryer, I can't do that. It's maybe looking a tad dried out, especially on that underside. I'm not quite sure how this one's going to go. The timer says it's still got 5 minutes left, but again, I can kind of already smell it being done. I'm going to give it another minute or two and then pull out. Will the air fryer steak be a success or a failure? Please leave a guess in the comments right now. Big reveal moment. I think that's had long enough, so I'm going to pull it out. And there we have it. That is an air fried steak. Gonna lose some juices, so. I'm gonna treat this the same way that I would any other steak. I'm gonna give it a few minutes to rest. In terms of passing the eye test, I wouldn't immediately be able to tell that that wasn't cooked in a pan. It's definitely got a better crust on one side compared to the other. The first side to hit the basket got a pretty good sear, the other side, not so much. Again, I was shooting for medium rare, but going kind of mostly off instinct, so let's see how it ended up. And the big reveal. That's not too bad. Couple of things I'll say. Firstly, I should maybe have let that rest for a couple more minutes because it's still losing quite a lot of juice. And I mean, if we look at the thickest part of the steak, it's maybe more of like a rare than a medium rare, but I don't mind that at all. Of course, the main thing we're worried about is the taste, so here we go. You know what? I'm pleasantly surprised. I think the only thing that's lacking is a tiny bit of extra crust on the outside, but flavors-wise, still very, very good. The steak itself is still nice and juicy. It's cooked pretty much, like I say, to my preferred doneness. I mean, yeah, if I went to a friend's house for dinner and they served me this, I wouldn't be mad. I consider myself a decent home cook, and I do think that I cook a good steak. For me, I don't think air fryers are going to replace a pan when it comes to me cooking a steak. But I guess if you're not quite as confident in the kitchen, or maybe you don't have the time to stand by the pan for the whole cooking time, then yeah, this is a perfectly decent option. I went into this video, I guess, still pretty skeptical of air fryers. I guess the headline news is that now having used one, I do see the point. While they might not be doing anything that's never been seen before in the kitchen, what they are doing is taking classic cooking tasks and doing them efficiently and simply. It's not some kind of magic silver bullet Swiss Army knife that's going to replace your entire kitchen, but if you just want to do things like roast, fry, grill in a hurry, then it is a really, really great way to do it. I guess not all air fryers are created equally in that regard. The Typhur Dome 2 is a really fantastic, versatile option, and I have really enjoyed using it. Overall, it's been good enough to convince this old skeptic, so they must be doing something right. Are you an air fryer person? If so, leave a comment leaving me some tips and tricks for things that I can try out in the future. Thanks again to Typhur for sending me the Dome 2 to use in this video. Like I said, this thing really is a top-of-the-line air fryer. If you know someone who loves their air frying and might be looking to upgrade, I'll leave a link to it in the description below, along with the discount code. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, then please leave a like on the video and maybe subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. I'm gonna go eat the rest of my steak. I'll see you later.